So today we're going to be talking about Samsung S90C issues. Now we're going to jump right into it without wasting your time doing some sponsored ad or commercial about why every product is awesome because everyone else says so. So if you like that kind of thing, smack like on this video because we're just getting to the point. Now don't get me wrong, the Samsung S90C is an amazing TV and it's still the best option present day right now in 2024. However, that does not mean that it is perfect, and we are here to talk about what it needs to improve on. I think the biggest thing that we can point to is going to be the fact that it needs desperately to stop its separation between the 95 and the 90 series. The 90 series was created as a branch off with the same body style of the Samsung S95B, but it holds none of the major benefits that the S95B had day one, being the explosive color. The really explosive color. If you wanted something like that, you have to step up, sadly, to the S95C, which of course, magically, there's a higher price. The other thing that really bugs me is Samsung's mantra or mindset around the One Connect box. They used to include One Connect boxes on all of their premium QLED TVs at one point. Then they started only doing it on the highest end, and then they stopped doing it until you started buying 8K TVs. And now they're kind of doing that with the OLED line, where it's like, unless you buy their most expensive OLED, you're just not getting a One Connect box. Meanwhile, the One Connect box is made entirely out of cheap plastic, and there's nothing truly premium about it. This is a really big annoying thing because I feel like everybody could benefit from a One Connect box, even if you have to raise the price slightly to account for that. But I feel like that would then make Samsung innovate in ways that they are not yet either capable or really willing to. And that brings me to like one of my next points. There's just not enough innovation on the Samsung S90C. It truly does feel very indistinguishable from an S95B in a lot of ways, especially once we talk about the user interface, the remote, so on and so forth. I feel like if you're buying a new product year in, year out, and they're replacing old products, they should actually replace them with at least a different style, a different look, instead of the copy and paste, the if it ain't broke it, don't fix it kind of mindset that every TV manufacturer rolls with. This is annoying for me though, because the issue becomes compounded when we consider the color throw. Simply put, the Samsung S90C was made to be the entry point into the quantum dot OLED line of televisions. But the issue with that is that they're using lower end quantum dot filtering, which don't get as vibrant, which means your colors aren't going to be anywhere near as impactful as what you might have remembered on something like the Samsung S95B day one. I say day one because, again, enter the next issue, firmware. Firmware will continuously lower the quality of these displays. And if the Samsung S90C is already not a match for the Samsung S95B, which some people said it's a direct replacement for, which, by the way, totally not the case, then you're already going to see how your experience is going to get worse as firmware goes on, because if we know anything about Samsung, Samsung tends to lower performance as they go down the line. We get closer to Black Friday, you better expect your TV's going to look really terrible just in time for the holiday season and all the sales. Is it an accident? I'll let you decide. I personally don't think that it is. In addition to that, you have to understand these TVs are not really breaking the mold in terms of brightness or capabilities the way that they really should. And I think that is a problem in terms of replacing something old with something new. If you wanted the most advanced version of all the technologies, again, go to the S95C. Now, for a lot of people, they say this is common sense. But then I enter, this is quantum dot, QD OLED technology. It is capable of 1300, 1500 nits. Every single quantum dot OLED should be hitting at least 1300 to 1500 nits without even trying. But they place these limiters on them to force you up into higher price ranges. And that is a massive problem because, again, yes, it's marketing, yes, it's sales, and yes, they're running a business. But when technology is publicly made available to people and we know the specifications of this technology, and as a company you intentionally limit its capability to make us spend more money with you, the incentive isn't really there to do so. Also, when the model that we're upgrading to is something like the Samsung S95C, which is known to have worse speakers and the amount of quality that it has, rather, than something like the S90C, then there's really no real point to doing that, because now we're taking a downgrade but spending more money to do it in some areas. Again, a whole total different conversation for an entirely different video. But the point being is this: the real big issues with Samsung and the S90C is that it's almost in a purgatory where they want to make it like a budget model where it's not really their high-end, but at the same time they want to pretend like it's a high-end product and say, oh, but it's quantum dot OLED and it does X, Y, and Z, all while placing certain limiters in weird spots that don't really make sense on it. This is the biggest issue with the Samsung S90C, and it's ultimately why I think if you're in the market for a television right now, maybe hold off and see what 2024, this year, offers later this spring, because you'll probably find TVs that do a little bit better than what we were having from 2023, especially when we talk about the brightness. 2024, for anybody who hasn't been cued in yet, is the year of brightness. We're going to see peak nits raise to astronomical levels that are absolutely unheard of. And in years prior, like years like 2017, 2018, 2019, we would have been paying tens of thousands of dollars to reach the level of brightness that we're reaching for the same exact price points that we paid for those same exact TVs that cost an arm and a leg in your firstborn child. So it's great to see technology advancing, things of that nature, but again, it's also important to see where we came from, and that is why we're making this video talking about the issues of the Samsung S90C. Now, as you can clearly hear, there aren't really major ones, right? At least terribly major, but there are issues to address, and I wanted to bring them to your attention. Now, things that you will see online or on forums or things like that will be pretty common across the board, where people will say things like, oh, I noticed that there's blacking out of the screen, or HDMI dropouts, or audio dropouts, or I'm having Wi-Fi issues. These are one-off issues based off of quality control, which I guess I'll add a little side note or a little footnote here to say quality control is going to vary per unit across every single television manufacturer that is pumping out, you know, the thousands and thousands and thousands of units that they pump out to satiate a very hungry industry and a very hungry market. So that is something that you do also have to weigh up when you are buying a television. Who has the better track record for having the least amount of bugs and glitches day one, and who has the most? That's also something to investigate in a separate video as well, which I think would be a lot of fun to do, but let me know if that's something you're interested in. Also, I'd like to hear your experience with Samsung and what you think down below. Thanks for watching the #1 brand in honesty, and until the next video, I'll see you guys later.